The presidents of Mexico and Colombia closed the Latin American Caribbean Summit on Drugs, an event that proposes a new approach to the fight against drug trafficking. In Morocco, authorities report more than 1,000 deaths and another 1,000 people injured after Friday's devastating earthquake. And in India, the G20 Summit issues final declaration with emphasis on reform of the World Trade Organization and greater role for the Global South. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Colombia, the Latin American and Caribbean Conference on Drugs for Peace and Life and Development concluded. The meeting was attended by more than 15 countries focused on promoting proposals to address the problem of drug trafficking and drug consumption. Representatives of the region highlighted the focus of a criminal and punitive effort towards drug trafficking mafias and their illegal and violent economies in the world. In this regard, the Colombian Foreign Minister Álvaro Leiva expressed his hope that the impact of this work in the region would be positive, while thanking the participant nations for their willingness.
What we hope is that we will have a unique voice from Latin America and the Caribbean, a unique voice to present to the world, because this is not a Latin American issue, but something that affects the whole world. If there is no demand, there is no supply. But the analysis is always made in relation to the responsibility of the producers, and nobody has called the attention to the...
Mexico's foreign minister highlighted the importance to promote a new approach that provides real solutions to the drug problem, prioritizing human rights and environmental protection.
We are very interested in the approach we must give to the drug issue, being a focus for life, for peace, for development, but undoubtedly also for fighting crime. Today, more than ever, it is very important to advance in this paradigm shift and address the drug problem with a much more comprehensive approach. We need to move forward if we are determined to address the root causes that allowed organized crime to take advantage of it.
Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador said that before taking measures to deal with the drug problem, it is necessary to face the problems that afflict societies.
We have to fight first against poverty, against inequality. To face the problem of violence, we have to offer jobs, good salaries, take care of young people, guarantee them the opportunity to study, to work. We also have to strengthen our cultural, moral, and spiritual values. We have to use all the reserve of values that we have inherited from the great civilizations that flourished in our Americas. That is there. Because of those cultures, we have been saved from pandemics and earthquakes and floods and bad governments and corruption.
China and Venezuela have signed a memorandum of understanding on cooperation, development, and modernization of special economic zones. The agreement between the Venezuelan superintendents of special economic zones and the Chinese Shenzhen University Special Economic Zone Research Center is meant to strengthen a model of sovereign economic development and national manufacturing. It aims at guaranteeing the production chain while ensuring legal safeguards, social justice, and environmental sustainability in both countries. Continuing with his official visit to China, Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro arrived in Shanghai at the Hongqiao International Airport. Maduro was met by officials from the Chinese Foreign Affairs Ministry and by municipal government authorities in Shanghai. Maduro is accompanied by Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez, Venezuelan Ambassador to China Giuseppe Llofreda, and by high-ranking Venezuelan officials. The president's agenda is focused on strengthening bilateral relations and furthering cooperation with China. In the Caribbean, the word conuco comes from the indigenous languages and names a small parcel of agricultural land. In this occasion, we bring you the story of Las Conuqueras, a group of women in the Venezuelan state of Carabobo that found in communal agriculture the solutions to their families' hardships sometimes with their bare hands. Today, they feed, nurture, and give a purpose to their community through self-sustained agriculture with governmental assistance. They are the protagonists of this episode of the series Venezuela on the Move, a production of our colleagues Adriana Sivori and Jesus Romero.
Not even the burning sun or the difficulties that may arise can stop their work. They are known as Conuqueras women and they are farmers.
I have been working here for 10 years for this community. Apart from that, I also study and work. Within the same agricultural zone, there are people like women who are seamstresses, housewives, who do other activities. We organize ourselves either in the morning or in the afternoon to have the possibility of doing all the activities.
Dulby takes care of some of the plots of land in the morning shift. Her son and her daughter-in-law live with her and sometimes help her in the fields.
I teach mathematics in a high school, a public high school. We are people with an enormous treasure, but more than that, of producing, of creating, of doing different things. There is something that we should always keep in mind, which is community, and we should never lose that.
Everything they grow is for their families and the community itself. To this day, they have produced 40,000 kilograms of food, cereals, fruits, and vegetables.
At first it was hard because we started with our hands, with just our hands. We started using spades and machetes to plant. Then we started to work with institutions. We contacted them and they came and they saw that what we were doing was a reality.
Now they receive training, they have instruments, and they have been able to build a deep water well for irrigation. And the government has also given land titles to these organized women. In this town, Conuqueras women serve and distribute the food house by house to more than 13,000 people.
Adriana Sivori y Jesus Romero, teleSUR Carabobo, Venezuela.
You can find more of our episodes of the series Venezuela on the Move on YouTube and other platforms. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back from the south. The Russian city of Moscow celebrates its 870th anniversary on September 9th and 10th. The date marks when Prince Yuri Dolgoruki founded the city in the year 1147. Many urban and artistic spaces as well as galleries are part of the celebration, providing citizens with meeting places and commemorative activities. Visitors will enjoy fairs, workshops, exhibitions, and performances in the capital's squares. This time, organizers have decided to break the record and organize the 10-day festival. In Poland, the main political parties laid out their plans and policies they plan to introduce on different areas, squaring off with only weeks to go before the parliamentary election scheduled for October 15th. According to polls, the governing right-wing Law and Justice (PIS) party, in power since 2015, is said to remain the largest party after the vote. Most polls show PIS with more than 35% of the vote, while the Liberal Civic Coalition KO grouping has around 30%. PIS leader Jaroslaw Kaczynski unveiled the last priority policy of his party, allowing women to retire after 38 years of work, while men will be able to do so after 43 years. In turn, KO policies are said to include pay rises for teachers and other public sector workers, state funding for in vitro fertilization treatment, and raising the tax-free earnings limit. More than 1,000 people have been killed after the deadliest earthquake in decades struck central Morocco, with rescuers digging through rubble in remote mountainous areas to find victims. The 6.8 magnitude earthquake shook Morocco's high Atlas mountain range shortly after 11 p.m. local time on Friday at a relative shallow depth of 18.5 kilometers, with the epicenter located about 72 kilometers southwest of Marrakech. The Interior Ministry reported that there are over 1,000 people injured, 700 of them in critical condition. Rescue operations are ongoing as authorities expect the death toll to continue to increase. King Mohammed VI declared 3 days of mourning following the deadly earthquake. Moreover, the Moroccan monarch ordered to provide assistance to all those left homeless and to urgently form an interministerial committee to launch a program for the reconstruction of the destroyed houses in the affected areas.
All those living in the village were hit by the earthquake that happened yesterday around 11:30. All of us living in the village have lost our homes. As you can see, all the people here today have lost someone. Someone has died in every family. We are living in a crisis situation. We ask that King Mohammed VI intervenes and sends us some help, because we are living through a traumatizing situation. The people don't have electricity, they have nothing to eat or drink, no bread, nothing. Around 70 people are facing a very difficult psychological situation now.
According to the United States Geological Survey, a shallow 6.0 magnitude earthquake hit near the Indonesian island of Sulawesi on Saturday. Indonesia's geophysics agency reported no immediate tsunami but warned of possible aftershocks. The tremor lasted 5 seconds, and although no major damages nor casualties have been reported, there have been power outages in central Sulawesi's Lambonga village, where panicking people gather in groups outside their homes seeking safety in fear of aftershocks. Most residents of Belsan coastal village in Pavi and Donggala Regency have been evacuated to higher ground. Indonesia is a vast archipelago on the Pacific Ring of Fire. In January 2021, a 6.2 magnitude quake in Sulawesi Island killed over 100 people and thousands were left homeless. In 2018, a 7.5 magnitude quake and subsequent tsunami in Palu on Sulawesi killed over 2,200 people, and in 2004, a 9.1 magnitude quake struck Aceh province, causing a tsunami which killed over 170,000 people. Chinese authorities maintain warnings due to heavy rains, which led to the evacuation of thousands of people and the preventive shutdown of activities. Typhoon Haikui caused urban flooding, landslides, and road closures, beside the closure of schools and businesses. In this regard, the local Weather Watch reported that heavy rains are linked to Typhoon Haikui, which caused damage in the city of Shenzhen, and also reported flooding of subway stations and the most important transportation centers in Hong Kong, as well as dozens of people injured. We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. A fun short break, don't go away. Welcome back from the South. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi introduced the African Union as the newest member of the G20 during the first session of the Leaders' Summit of the Group of 20 in New Delhi. The main representatives of the world economy, who are meeting for 2 continuous days, approved the inclusion of the regional bloc, while affirming that this is a step forward to strengthen ties between nations. In the same way, India focused its leadership of the G20 on global multilateral progress to guarantee results for the benefit of all. The G20 Summit issued a final declaration with an emphasis on reforming the World Trade Organization and a greater role for the Global South. The G20 leaders also called for an increasingly rules-based, equitable, sustainable, and transparent multilateral negotiating system with the WTO at its core. They further added that they would promote a policy that would allow trade and investment to serve as an engine of growth and prosperity for all members. On Saturday, the Maldives people lined up to cast their ballots on a highly contested presidential election. There are 8 candidates and 282,000 registered voters in a nation comprised of 1,192 coral islets stretching along 500 miles across the Indian Ocean. Incumbent Ibrahim Mohamed Soli, age 61, representing the Maldivian Democratic Party, is seeking re-election for a second term. In a poll-term referendum on his pursuit of renewed ties with India, the nation's traditional benefactor, whereas his autocratic predecessor, Abdullah Yamin, turned to China for loans and diplomatic support. Soli's main rivals is 45-year-old Mohamed Musu, mayor of Male, the country's capital, said to be acting as a proxy of former president and opposition leader Yamin, currently serving an 11-year sentence following his corruption conviction last December. In the Maldives, convicted prisoners can vote, but Yamin chose not to register. North Korea held a parade on Saturday to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the country's founding, attended by leader Kim Jong-un and a number of senior Chinese and Russian officials. This event marked the 3rd time the North Korean state has staged a parade this year, being the most recent a military parade featuring the country's most advanced weaponry, taking place in late July to commemorate the signing of an armistice that ended hostilities in the 1950-1953 Korean War. The parade came 2 days after Pyongyang unveiled its first tactical nuclear attack submarine, with Kim declaring it part of a push forward with the nuclear weaponization of the Navy. And in this context, the North Korean head of state, Kim Jong-un, hosted the Vice Premier of China, Liu Won-son. The meeting is the second high-level contact between the two countries in the last 2 months. According to the official North Korean news agency, the two sides reached a consensus on developing friendly and cooperative relations between the two countries and stepping up bilateral coordination and cooperation. Gabon's transitional Prime Minister Raymond Dong Sima went on television Saturday to announce the country's new transitional government. Raymond Dong Sima himself had just been appointed on Thursday as Prime Minister by Gabon's military rulers. Sima had been a prominent opponent of ousted President Ali Bongo Ondimba following the country's coup on August 30th, just days after Bongo's second disputed re-election. Bongo, aged 64, had taken office in 2009 on the death of his father Omar, who ruled Gabon with an iron fist for more than 40 years, gaining a reputation as a kleptocrat. Bongo Sima is a 68-year-old Paris-educated economist who had served as Prime Minister under Bongo from 2012 to 2014 before becoming a critic and competing against him in the 2016 and 2023 presidential campaigns. We have come to the end of this news briefing. You can find these and many other stories on our website, telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.